speaking about Man City players,
Mm.
it's your boy. Now, the reason why I brought up this tattoo and this picture, as you can see, he's wearing this. Well, he's got this tattoo of him celebrating a goal, and he has got this black line now across the top of the shirt, which blocks out the Man City crest. What do you think of that? First and foremost, that.
Well, you know what? I actually thought, because when I saw it, I looked at it and I thought, I swear that used to have a Man City crest. Because I remember when he first got the tattoo, and everyone was saying, why the hell would he get that? Because I think it was his goal, and we didn't win the game. I think it was a 1-1 draw or something like that anyway. And I don't even think he scored the equalizer. So it was a bit like, why would you get that tattoo? It was a bit random. And a lot of people were a bit confused about why he got that in the first place. But someone did actually show me, let me see if I can find it, because I thought he'd got that covered up recently, but apparently in 2017, let me see if I can find it. Apparently in 2017, he had already covered it because Raheem Sterling posted it saying, my name's Leroy and I've got a shit tattoo. I love myself or something like that. And everyone was saying it's a shit tattoo at the time.
Yeah.
I can't find it.
So there's nothing we should read into him covering up that tattoo.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can see here. When he first got it, it had the crest.
Yeah.
And then after, it was covered up.
Yeah.
But somebody said in 2000, let me see, in 2017, when he finished the tattoo, because that's when it was half done, it had a City crest. When he finished it, Raheem Sterling posted this and said, what a shit tattoo. And you can see that it's covered there.
Okay.
So I don't know whether somebody said to him, why would you get that? Or why would you put City on? I don't know. And he's probably thought, oh shit, let me cover it up. I don't know. Or whether people took the mick out of him because we didn't win the game. Or maybe thought, oh, let's pretend it's Germany. I don't know. But it's definitely a goal that he scored at City, you know. So it's just, the whole thing's a bit random. Like, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you, so what is happening with SANE? Because obviously we spoke over a year ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously you said that he was going to go. And we know that the only reason he didn't go was because of the injury that he got before the season started. Everything was ready for him to leave. Well, Pep kind of accepted it. It was just about really buying, agreeing a fee, but that injury completely killed it. He hasn't played all season. We'll get onto, you know, how that's affected City if it has. In terms of his future at City, where do you stand with that?
Well, I've been saying he's, you know, been gone for a long time, to be honest, because he was unhappy. It is to do with Pep. Him and Pep don't get on. Apparently, Pep was asking him to defend, and he was like, I don't know why I have to defend. So he kind of refused. And I think from what I gather from Pep, he's one of them people that he's got a plan. And to be fair to him, his plan works. You know, he's done it time and time again. And I think players that don't agree with it or don't really want to do what he's asking them, then I think he kind of just says, well, it's up to you if you want to go. And I don't blame him for that because he's a successful manager. You know, you can't let these players dictate how you're going to, you know, manage your club. You know what I mean? He's the manager at the end of the day. So it's, you know, it's up to him. So apparently SANE wasn't happy with that and he wanted to leave. He has been saying for a long time he wants to leave, but he's not really been saying it in terms of in the media. I only know because I know someone that knows SANE. That's the only way I know. But yeah, I think they're saying now that a deal's been done with Bayern, so I think he'll be going soon. My only thing for City is we need to get a decent amount of money for.
Well, so obviously, when we spoke over a year ago, I think we were talking about near the 100 million mark.
Yeah.
Now, and that was around with 2 years left in his contract. Been injured for a year. He's going to have a year left in his contract, which means that in January 2021, he can negotiate with any foreign club on a free transfer. And obviously, from next season or next year, he can, at the end of next year, he can go on a free, basically. So City, I'm sure, would either, and I guess that the contract has always been on the table for him, but City's like, well, you signed a contract, but we need to sell you. I can't see them keeping him for his final year of his contract and losing him on free. But that 100 million value is going to decrease. And with this whole Corona impact financially on football, I think it's going to decrease even more. Now, some of the talks are saying around 60 million, that will be enough, especially because apparently he's agreed a 5-year deal with Bayern in principle, just waiting for the two clubs to agree a transfer fee. Would 60 million be value for you for a player with 1 year left?
See, SANE is a hard one because I have seen players go for more than that. Like there's a lot of potential with Leroy SANE. He's not a 29-year-old player who's good. He's a young player that's good. So for me, I think it would need to be more than that, simply because we don't need money. We're not struggling financially. So worst case scenario, if they're not going to offer enough, we could just keep him, and then let him go for free after. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think we should accept, a low offer for him just because to get some money that really we don't need anyway. So I don't know. He definitely wants to go. So, and they definitely want to buy him. But Bayern, the way they've gone about it is not the right way. Like they've been saying they're going to get him.
They were speaking in the media and all that kind of stuff. And I never.
Yeah. They've been disrespectful. So if they were a different club, if somebody else came in with 60 mil, that's a little bit different. But I think for Bayern Munich, if anything, we've got to keep him for a year when he's been injured, and then they're going to get him fit. Like they should be paying realistically more than that. But I don't think they're the only club that would take him either.
Oh, he's a brilliant player. I'm sure there's a lot.
Well, a lot of Premier League teams would take him. Obviously, I don't think he wants to be in England. I think he's got his heart set on Bayern. But, if Arsenal came in with a bid, or United or Liverpool, then, there's no reason why City can't say, well, we're not selling to you because there's other people interested. And then if they want him, they'll have to pay, what we want. So, I don't know. I think with City, we often get a bit ripped off in our deals. Like, other clubs will sell.
Oh.
Well, we don't ever sell. I know we're not a selling club, so we don't sell players at the peak. So we're not going to get 100 mil for a player. SANE is probably the first one.
Yeah.
After Sancho, and even Sancho, he was a youth player, so it was a different situation. But most of our players, they don't leave at their peak. But I think when they do, a lot of the time, I think only Iheanacho we got a decent amount for. I think everyone at Dzeko went for crap money. A lot of these players kind of go for cheap. And if it was Liverpool or United, they wouldn't sell their players for what we sell our players for.
I would say maybe United pre Ed Woodward, because since the sales of our players, both actually the transfers and the sale of our players have been terrible. Like
you pay over the odds.
You pay over the odds, and we pay under the odds. So it's just a complete shambles. I would say only maybe 3 out of our last 4 transfers, I'll say, were good on value. So that's Wan-Bissaka, Dan James, and Bruno Fernandes. Maguire was definitely over the odds.
Yeah.
Arguably Wan-Bissaka as well. When you think about it, the man had one season. It was 45 million plus 5 on add-ons, but it's like he's one season in the Premier League. He's a young player. Yes, the potential's there, but it's just potential.
It's not a guaranteed. Yeah, he could have.
50 million is a decent amount of money, but it's also I would say I'm not too fussed about paying that. But in reality, you should be able to pay less. You should right negotiation to Crystal Palace.
It's got a little bit ridiculous now because what everyone's done is, you know, a few years ago, what would happen is you'd have a club like Leicester, you know, or a club like Aston Villa or whatever, and they would have a good player, and the top clubs would come in and probably get him for 20 mil, 30 mil, you know, and that's what would happen. Whereas now I feel like every club in the league, because everyone's got money, not everyone's got a lot of money, but everyone's got money, they don't have to sell.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of clubs slapping ridiculous price tags on their players, and you're thinking, but he's not worth that. But because they've slapped that price tag on, you can't get him unless you pay that. So
well, look at Zaha.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Richarlison from Everton.
Richarlison,
yeah. They're saying he's 100 mil, but you can't really argue with it. If you want him, you've got to pay 100 mil. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But I feel with SANE, who is brilliant. You know what I mean? We're not doing that. Like, we could easily say he's worth 100 mil if you don't take it or leave it, but we don't do that, and I think it's a bit stupid. People do it the other way.
The difference is, because there's money in the Premier League, if you're selling between Premier League clubs or a foreign club is selling to a Premier League club, they know that you have the money. So they're going to know that if you really want to play it. Whereas Man City selling abroad, the German money, even though Bayern's got money, don't get me wrong, but the German money ain't as strong as the Premier League money. So it's like, I mean, if we don't do the deal, we're going to lose him on a free or sell him to a rival who can spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
I remember when Luka Modric, when Tottenham sold Luka Modric, Chelsea were willing to pay like 40, 45 million, and they sold him to Real Madrid for like 25, 30 million because they're like, we're selling to a rival.
Yeah.
You've got the money for him, but we're not doing that. So that's, and I think Real Madrid knew that he wanted to leave, so they said, listen, this is what we're offering, isn't it? Take it.
Yeah.
That was the kind of thing. But do you think, obviously, not having Sane, or should I say, Sane being injured, was that a massive problem for City in the season? And I say injured because I guess if you had sold him, I would think that maybe you would go and replace him. I don't know. But the fact that he was injured, and I think he got injured, was it in the Community Shield?
Yeah, the first game.
So it was like the transfer window was closing in any moment.
Yeah. With no time to replace him,
So do you think that kind of really destroyed your season? That's not the right word, because you're still in like 3 competitions, or you won one and you won 2 other competitions. But do you think that really hampered you in the league?
Well, Sane, the past couple of seasons, Sane's been the reason for us winning quite a few games. Particularly against Liverpool. For some reason, he likes Liverpool. You know, so there were games this season where you thought, if we had Sane, even to bring off the bench, if we had Sane, that wouldn't have, you know, gone down the way it went. I think games like Norwich away, we just couldn't find a goal. Usually we bring on Sane will find a goal, do you know what I mean? Or put an assist in, or, you know, he make a run that, you know, leads to a goal, something like that. And we just didn't have him. So it was a bit of a, Sterling had to work, or if Sterling didn't work, it was Mahrez. And then we didn't have like a, you know, a second option in that game, basically, with Sane. So, yeah, I think we would have done better if he was obviously playing. But I think when you're injured, it's a tricky one because you're there, but you're not there. Like, a lot of people are saying now, like, oh, Sane's leaving. But it's like, to me, he's already been gone because I knew he was going and I've not seen him for a year. So for me, I think it's easier because there's never been that point like, oh, I can't believe Sane's left, because it was like he's already gone, basically. So I think it's made it a bit easier as a fan to be like, bye. Normally you're a bit gutted when a player leaves, but I think now it's just like, right, is he gone yet? You know? I do really like Sane, but I wouldn't want to keep a player at City that doesn't want to be here.
I've been saying the same thing at Man United. Like, for me, I love Pogba. I love Pogba came through our academy.
Yeah.
He was the most, for me, I'm going to say most talented. Now, I've heard recent reports.
Ravel.
Ravel Morrison was a baller. Like, he was a baller, don't get me wrong. But when I was watching the under, I guess Pogba's physique is an element here, but you could see he was just head and shoulders, literally head and shoulders, everyone else. Like he was physically too good for them, technically too good for them, and he was just the best player. And I was like, we need to keep him. We need to keep him. I was so gutted when we lost him because I knew the talent. Then we got him back. I'm like the prodigal son. He has returned. Listen, I was gassed. And I so want him to stay, and I so want him to sign a new contract. I so want him to work. And it's not that he's been terrible. He hasn't been 90 million worth of player. Agreed. He hasn't been a flop at Man United. Some people will say he has, but he hasn't 100% hasn't been a flop. He's been our best player, but we ain't been successful enough to say, well, was that the best 90 million you could have spent? Maybe you could have spent in other areas, and maybe it could have worked. You don't know, but I think it's a case. You buy that 90 million player, but then you need to strengthen in other key areas to allow the 90 million to be a 90 million pound player. But that's a different discussion. But the point is, if Pogba, and I said the same thing about De Gea last summer before he signed a contract, I said, I don't care who you are. If you are not committed to play for Manchester United, you can leave. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how much you cost. I don't care how bad you are. My first criteria to play for Man United is a willingness.
Wanting to play.
That's the first criteria. And Solskjaer, for me, has brought that back. Many fans, majority are buying into the idea. It's not about these marquee signings, Di Maria, Falcao, people coming from a payday. It's about getting players who want to play for Man United. In all our title-winning seasons, you had a lot of players who should never be near a Premier League title, but they were putting in the shift alongside the world-class players.
Yeah.
And those world-class players, once you're winning, then you're happy to be there. It's when you're not winning.
They don't want to be there,
and the poor players are like, well, I'm just glad to be playing for Man United. So, so you need to create an environment and a team that allows your world-class players to be successful. We haven't done that for Paul Pogba. But if he doesn't want to be here, if he's not committed to the club, and I've seen enough in recent weeks, recent months, particularly from his agent, to be fair, not him, but his agent represents him. So as far as I'm concerned, and Ferdinand said the same thing, Pogba needs to come out and say something. For me, if Pogba doesn't say something that is contrary to what his agent says, then you agree with what your agent said.
Yeah. We had that problem with Yaya Toure.
I know you did.
Yaya Toure's agent would always say things, and Yaya Toure was just quiet.
And Pep said,
you're not saying something, it's a statement.
Yeah, but didn't Pep say to Yaya that you need to apologize before you play
again? Yeah.
And because your agent is speaking for you. And if he's not speaking for you, say that he's
say it. Yeah.
But so I'm saying, for me, in the last year, I don't think Pogba wants to be here. He made actual statements to say he thinks it might be time to move on. If that's the case, move on. I'm not going to hold anything against you. You're human. You got your ambition. You got your career. I think Man United has failed him in some aspects. I think he could have done better in many aspects as well. But if you don't want to be at the club, you can go. And the club will always be here. I will still be supporting them regardless of who's on the pitch, innit? Unless it's like a bunch of racists or something like that. But Captain John.
You know what? That's
Captain Luis Suarez. Like, I might have to question that.
But that's the thing. Like, for me, my favorite players.
The manager.
My favorite players are normally people like, I love Fernandinho. Part of the reason why I love Fernandinho is because before he even joined City, he was trying to get to know the fans, like on Twitter. And little things like that, it's like some footballers never interact with fans ever. You know, they'll post their stuff, they go, they'll never say, people will be like, say happy birthday, and they just ignore it. There's people who interact sometimes, people like David Silva, they'll say the odd happy birthday or whatever, but they don't interact often, but they will occasionally. And then you get people like Mendy who will constantly interact with the fans, which is great. Do you know what I mean? Because it's 2 seconds of his time.
But with Mendy, don't you get pissed off a bit? You're always on Twitter, but you're never on the pitch. Like, don't you ever just think, like, piss off and get yourself fit?
You know what? The reason why I don't mind stuff like that is, like I say, him taking that time to chat with the fans is something they will probably never forget.
Yeah.
He's bored anyway, not doing anything. He might as well, you know. I think I don't really like footballers that kind of just don't ever interact with their fans. And it's like, at the end of the day, the fans are why you're here, you know, or why you're making the money that you're making. So I think it's a little bit rude to never interact with the fans. I don't mean every day is a bit much. Do you know what I mean? And I think some footballers, they get themselves in trouble because they interact a bit too much. But I think, you know, the odd, you know, I think Laporte is quite good. Like Laporte interacts quite a bit, but then it's not like all the time. I think that's good. But yeah, I like that side. I like the ones that support the club as well. You know, not just like I'm a player, but they actually support the club. Like if you notice Laporte, if you ever watch him when City are playing, because he's been injured, he's like, "Come on, City," and like, you know, I love that. You know,
I like when I see players who like they're not in the match they squad, but they're still tweeting about and
I like that
with the fans on social media and that kind of stuff.